Hi, welcome to the K-Files this morning. Good morning, JP.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you here. In case we have some first-time viewers this morning. Then we have Lieutenant Seepin from the Rocky Mount Police Department, along with, I believe it's DJ Crisenberry. Got it right. Very good. Anyway, we're going to have them on next segment to talk about a couple of cases. And then we will get back to Jeff Cobb a little bit in the end. Last week we talked about Jeff Cobb, and I was so thrilled that we got such a response. They said this is such an interesting case, and two people said to me, this case is so solvable if somebody knows. So I said, yes, that's what we have been asking on the K-Files. For every case, somebody knows something. So if you could please call the number, Lee, if we could put the number up on the screen. If you could call the number if you know 406-6736, or if it's Rocky Mount, if you want to call the police department, you certainly can, or 977-1111, which is Crime Stoppers. Always call that. It is completely anonymous. JP and I say all the time, we won't know who it is, anything about it. We just do the payout, and we just did pay out in a Edgecombe County case that we've talked about several times. So,
and with all the reward money on this case, you're looking at up to $25,000.
Exactly.
$25,000 is enough to encourage anybody to talk.
Absolutely. So, and it's cash. You get cash, and you get paid within a couple of days. I know because I write the checks and give them to law enforcement. They give you cash. Can't beat that. So if you know anything, please, if you know something, what do you say, JP?
If you know something, say something. If you see something, say something.
Exactly. And no tip is too small. I mean, just if you see a car in the area and you'll say, well, no, that's just a car driving by. Not necessarily, not if it was the time of the crime or around the time of the crime. So don't ever think your tip is just not good enough or just too small, because they want every tip they can get. And if that's not it, well, so be it. But it could be the one they're looking for.
That's right.
So anyway, just wanted to get that out this morning. And it is not, we do not pay upon conviction. That's why you get paid so fast. We pay upon arrest. But we do have to make an arrest. So anyway, that's kind of how it works. We talked about Jeff Cobb last week. That case, he was a very prominent man in the community. He had been a commissioner. He was a member of the Elks Lodge that not just came every now and then. I mean, he was there a lot, almost every day, in talking to some of the Elks, he was there almost every day, and he went to Gators a lot. And I don't know how to say this other than to say he once in a while would leave there with a friend.
That's what we do.
That's as nice as I can put it. So anyway.
And I learned so many details. I mean, I've heard about this case off and on for years, but I learned so many details last week from watching Lyndall and yourself from old episodes, things I did not know that kind of stirred a lot of different questions in my mind.
The screwdriver's what gets everybody. I mean, that's not a typical weapon.
Right.
Now, I'm sure, yes, somebody has been stabbed with a screwdriver before, but 40-some, whatever.
46,
dozens
48.
of times is all I will say. Dozens of times. I mean, that is really, there's just so much that runs through my mind with that, as possibilities. Crime of passion. Or
rage, anger.
A husband a boyfriend, or even one of the girls. So anyway, one day we think we'll know because somebody knows about this case. Somebody at Gators had to have seen it because he went there so much. They knew him so well. And the people that went there were people that frequented, Gators. That was mostly, they had a clientele, of people that went there a lot. So
I'd love to know if it was his screwdriver that fit the pattern of other tools in his garage, or if it was just a random screwdriver that maybe was brought there.
yeah,
I'd love
yeah,
to know that.
I know. That's what I was thinking. My thoughts were, did you just look around and find one and just, or did you, I just can't imagine going there with a screwdriver. I can't imagine that. Or going there not intending to do something and maybe had one in your pocket. I don't know. And then it ended up, who knows? All of this is speculation, folks. And we leave this for Lieutenant Seifman's department, and that's what they do. And we just hope this crime will be solved. We really do. So
Family needs it. They need it.
the family needs closure. And that's what we talk about all the time. On this show, that is one of the main objectives, is to give, number one, to solve a crime, number two, to give families closure. For goodness sakes, think about his family that knows he was tortured, and they're out there wondering, who in the world would do this to my loved one? Who would do this? And so, yes, to bring closure to families means a lot. It means a lot. So anyway, we'll get back to that at the end. But right now, we're going to go to break a little bit early, and we will bring Lieutenant Seifman over and talk about the cases he wants to talk about today.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
And we are back, and we have with us Lieutenant Seifman. Thank you so much for coming again. You're so loyal in coming at his designated time of the month, so thank you for that. And then introduce your friend this morning.
This is DJ Cruisenberry, detective, and he works cold cases as well as homicide squad.
Okay.
And I wanted to bring him on the show. We might be doing some other detectives as well.
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, well, all I've got to say is you've got your work cut out for you, but anyway, let's talk about a case today.
Today we're talking about Glyn Jr. Jenkins, young man, 29 years old, back in January of 2015. He and two of his friends had walked to the store near Cascade and West Raleigh, walked back to the house, and what's been described as a white vehicle rides through and shots are fired, striking two of the three individuals. Mr. Jenkins was shot in the head and died on scene, and the other gentleman was shot in the leg and survived his injuries. The third gentleman was not struck, and he actually flagged down the officer that had heard the shots and came riding through the area to try to find where the shots came from that morning, around a little after 2 o'clock in the morning on the 10th of January.
And we say, how many times have we said nothing good happens at 2 a.m.?
After midnight, very little.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. So Cascade Avenue and what other?
Collie is the intersection.
Okay.
There's my sign.
Okay, there's
You know I got my
your
street
good old
signs.
sign.
So Collie and Cascade. And if you
Yes.
continue up Cascade to West Raleigh, you come to West Raleigh Boulevard, just a block or so away from Nashville and West Raleigh Boulevard, that main intersection there, with the old RBC Bank and the Shell station there.
Right, yes. Okay, you see the location. If you know anything, the date was 2015.
January 10th.
January
A little
10th.
after 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning. Just a drive-by. Do you think it was a target, or?
They were specifically targeted, yes, but it's unclear why. Most of the folks that we talk about on the show are not angels.
Right.
And he had some gang ties in his past, but from what we were told, he had cut ties with the gang and was no
Right.
longer involved with the gang. But it could be some stuff that came up from his past.
Right.
So,
Right.
But if somebody's talked, like we talk about, there's probably not a whole lot of folks out at 2 o'clock in the morning on Cascade to see it.
Exactly.
Somebody's talked, a family member knows something.
And that's
they're
the thing. I mean, they do talk. People do talk
Everybody
to
loves to talk.
somebody.
They just need to talk to
Exactly.
us. That's what we
Exactly.
need to do
Talk
is
to the
call
right.
the tip line,
Yes.
the 406-6736 for a cold case, or we have the text to tip, which is completely anonymous, and I'll put that picture up here in just a little bit. And they can call Crime Stoppers, 977-1111. There's many ways we can get in touch. They can get in touch with us to give us the information. And like you mentioned earlier, even the smallest bit of information can be the one piece that puts the puzzle together for us.
That's exactly right. If somebody has said, even hinted about something about this case, please call the authorities. Please call the authorities if there's even been a hint. Or if you saw something, please call the 977-1111, as you just said, and there is the text to tip
Yeah,
number
you text
right there.
RMPOL and then start your message to crimes, which is 274-637 in the address box on
Right.
your phone.
So write this information down if you need to, but this is one of the ways of getting in touch with the Rocky Mount Police Department, and hopefully help them to solve this case. And give the name one more time.
Glyn Jr. Jenkins,
Glyn
29 years old at the
Jr.
time of his death.
There he is right there.
Yeah.
Glyn Jr. Jenkins. Okay? All right. Well, we hope you'll get a phone
Hopefully
call.
we'll get some calls.
Hopefully so. Well, thank y'all for coming this morning.
No problem. Thank you
We
for having me.
appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. We're going to take a break. We'll come right back with you.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
Okay, and welcome back. Let's just do a recap in case you missed it, because I had several people. They said, what'd you talk about on the K-Files? I said, Jeff Cobb. And they, oh, how did I miss that? So we'll just do a recap, JP, if you want to. It was a case. He's high
2013,
profile.
High profile, former county commissioner, very well known here around Rocky Mount. This Nash County community. Cobb Corner, I believe, is what his family owned or he owned. Developer. He had rental properties. He worked a business out of his garage. He was found dead. Stabbed multiple times with a screwdriver. He frequented the Moose Lodge, and I believe it was what, Gators?
Elks Lodge.
Elks Lodge. Elks
Yes,
Lodge.
Elks Lodge, and yeah, Gators, you're right. And
Loved female company.
yes,
Nothing wrong with that. And just a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of little details that I learned last week in watching Lindell that, very eye-opening.
Yes.
There's a lot of things that could point to different people. Jealous boyfriend, female companion, a jealous female companion.
Yes.
Nothing was stolen from the residence. Nothing was taken from him.
Yeah, that's telling right there. That is so telling.
Everything points to, this is just my opinion, rage, something personal.
And we just found out this morning where it happened in the house.
That's right. It happened in what used to be the garage, but it had been converted into like an office.
And it was where people actually came to pay their rent.
That's right.
Because he owned a lot of rental houses, rental properties.
The only thing is, now I'm not real familiar with where this house is in relation to Rocky Mount, where he lived.
We saw the house. We saw the picture of the house, but I don't know where it is exactly.
It appeared to be a very nice house.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice house.
And I
I'm
would
assuming
think he would have a
community,
pretty
a
nice house.
Neighborhood.
Yeah, so stabbed multiple dozens,
46,
we can
48,
say
50
dozens of
times.
times with a screwdriver, and that's what really, and we found out last week, that the screwdriver this was one of Lyndall. We played Lyndall's account of the case, and in it, evidently I missed that when I was on with him. I don't remember even hearing that the screwdriver went all the way
Punctured
down.
through.
Yeah, all
out
the way.
back.
I mean, just, all the way to the handle, went all the way down. So, and then I questioned, and you and I went back and forth as to, could a female really do that?
She'd have to be angry.
Yeah.
She'd have to have a lot of upper body strength, or really upset, really angry. I mean, is it possible? Yes. Probable?
I don't. I just cannot imagine. But if your adrenaline does a lot for your body. It changes your whole body. I mean, when you've got your adrenaline going, you can do things that you can't normally do. And if you're mad and you're really angry and you're in a moment of heated something, you're not, you can do things.
And I didn't know Mr. Cobb. I mean, I don't know if he was, if he tended to be passive, if he was aggressive, if he was the type of guy or man that could have put up a resistance against a female.
Right.
I don't know those things.
Right.
And a lot of us don't know what we would do until we're faced with a situation like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't know him personally, so I don't know what his personality was or anything. So, but anyway, interesting, and we will continue to talk about this. And Lieutenant Seifman is going to talk about this case when he comes next month. He will be talking about Jeff Cobb. So we'll learn more from whatever the police department is willing to tell us. But of course, Lyndall gets more from the reports that law enforcement cannot tell you but so much, because you have to protect the evidence. You have to protect, the case is not solved. And in order to solve a case, you cannot put out all of the information. So I understand where they're coming from.
You don't want to show your cards.
No, you do not. You absolutely don't. So we totally understand why they don't, but we can put out on this show a little bit more than they can. So that's what makes our show, I say this every week, but people are really watching our show, because I don't think I have a week go by that I don't have 2 or 3 people tell me they know the name of the show now. Oh, the K-Files, yeah. I watch that, and they'll ask questions about a case, and I said, gosh, people are interested in it. So I do appreciate.
And we have the luxury of speculating where law enforcement who are actively
Right.
working this case, they cannot.
Right, they cannot speculate, but we can do that, and
And clearly this case touched some nerves. Well, not
Yes.
nerves, but it touched some people last week because like I was telling you, I got at least one phone call, 2 text messages on this case alone
Yeah.
over the past week.
yeah, this case is high profile. It's interesting, and the family is well known, very well known family. So, and I think a large family. So a lot of people know them. So, you know, people are interested from that perspective too because they knew the family. I have to bring up a case, the murder case, the quadruple murder case in Halifax County. And I don't know if I can talk about this without getting angry. You remember the case where the 2 couples
They were playing,
cards?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, 3 arrested, so we felt good about that. They made an arrest a couple of years ago, whenever it was, made an arrest, finally got them, 3 of them, and one of the people that they arrested decided he was going to change his story. And so they have let 2 of the others out. Now this was a brutal, heinous murder of 2 couples doing nothing but minding their own business,
In their own
visiting
home.
each other in their own home, and they're out on the street because, and what, JP, what would make somebody change their mind after all their testimony? What?
You know, I'd love to know what the DA was thinking
Yeah.
to go along with this.
Oh my word. But what can you do? But I thought that way too. Then I said, what can the DA do if the guy says, okay, they didn't do it?
If
I
they
did it.
had based everything on what this one particular suspect was saying, if that's the case, and he up and decides, I'm changing my story, they've put the DA in a bad spot because if that's the case, the DA knows if he gets on the stand, he's going to say he's changed his story.
Yeah.
The case goes out the window.
Did
It
he get
takes other
scared? Threatened?
If I was the DA, I'd want to know what's happened. Is your family being threatened? Have you been threatened? Are you afraid? Tell us. Help us understand why for 2 years you were adamant that this is what's happened.
Yeah.
Why have you changed your mind?
Yeah.
Help
That-
us understand.
That just really, and you know, it's so appropriate to talk about it on this show because it was a murder case, a quadruple murder. And of course it goes back, we may go back over that case next week. Next week. No, I got to tell you about what JP's doing next week. The week after that, we might go back over that case because it is a murder case. And and there were a lot of details, and I still have the information.
I do want to say something. I want the public to understand gang activity in Nash, Edgecombe, Wilson, Halifax County is real. It's alive and it's
Yes.
well.
Yes.
There's been a recent crime in my community in the Bailey, Middlesex, Southern Nash County area where people's lives have been threatened by way of gang activity in an attempt to hijack investigations. I can only wonder, is that the case here? You know, these gangs, like I say, they're everywhere. They're in rural America. They're in rural North Carolina. And I can only imagine, you know, is that the case here? Are these gang members trying to circumvent the judicial system in an attempt to keep their guys out of prison?
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact it's
very
happened
well
in a case in Bailey. I know that for a fact.
Wow. That's tough. That's just tough stuff right there. Okay, well, we got to take our break. We'll be right back.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
Okay, and welcome back. So we have been talking about Jeff Cobb, of course. This is a very complicated case. That's the reason we're spending a little bit of time on it. There's so many different angles and things, and so we're just going to cut to a show that me and Lyndall did. Lyndall had some more details. I told you this week we'd have some more details. So we have a few more details. So let's cut to that and see what Lyndall had to say after he talked to some of the girls at Gators.
If you're going to rob someone, you stab them 2 or 3 times. You don't stab them 40-something times if you're just looking to rob them.
That's
And there was
right.
no indication of any robbery happening anyway.
Right. That's right.
Okay, so now, we get down to the nitty-gritty of Mr. Cobb, and he did accomplish all those things, and everybody loved him for it. And the one thing that it's kind of the worst kept secret in Rocky Mount is how much of a ladies' man that Mr. Cobb was.
Right.
And I talked to his brother about it a year or so ago, and and he was like, nobody's perfect, and he's right. But I think it's important to talk about the sort of thing that Mr. Cobb was into, and I'll tell you the reason why afterwards. I'm not just throwing dirt around. If there's family listening that you don't want to be upset by this, tune out for a minute or two, and then just come back to us. But when Fighting Crime posted some information about Mr. Cobb in advance of this show,
Right.
Okay, she got. I originally was going to post it on the screen, but I don't want people to focus too much on this stuff. But here's some printouts that came back from commenters that were posting on that webpage. And
Right.
The first one, and these are actual people. These aren't like anonymous people. It's really people. It's really easy to insult someone anonymously.
Right. Right.
But these are folks, and what one of them says is that Mr. Cobb was a ladies' man. He made many unsolicited proposals to women, including myself.
Wow.
So here's one woman saying that Mr. Cobb made unsolicited proposals. I know that he hung out at the Gators, the restaurant here in town, and I talked to some waitresses there, and they said that when he came in the store, they would go hide in the back.
Really?
Yeah, because they didn't want to be the one that got
Wow.
accosted by Mr. Cobb that day. And here's another woman who says, my friend used to sleep with Jeff Cobb for money. So, pretty harsh things to say about somebody, especially a dead person. So, why am I saying that here on the air? Is because it is not a secret, folks, and everybody knows it. So my concern, and I talked to the detectives, and a little bit of concern there was that folks who might know something aren't really saying anything because they think that people don't know this,
Right.
or they think that they don't want to injure the reputation of a guy that was in
Right.
such high standing. But sometimes you got to shine a little bit of sunlight on something if you want some results.
That's
so if
right.
there's somebody out there that was involved in this part of Mr. Cobb's life but hasn't really wanted to come forward and say anything, now's the time.
It is anonymous, folks. It is anonymous.
Absolutely. You call that phone number, no one will know anything about you except for the information that you provide that goes straight to law enforcement.
That's exactly right.
Okay, so getting into the night that Mr. Cobb died,
Yes.
which I believe be that Friday that he
Right.
went home from the Elks Club, according to his autopsy and some other information that I gathered, there was a open box of condoms in his bedroom, right by his bed. Okay, and remember, his bedroom light was still on when they went and looked.
Heard you say that.
Yeah, when they went and looked on Sunday, and then when they found his body on Tuesday, his bedroom light was still on. So he was in the bedroom there, I think, toward the very end. There also was a woman's hairbrush on the bedroom floor. And I talked to Chief Robinson, and he said that his detectives have run DNA on the hair that was on that hairbrush. So, they're waiting on the results on that. But the thing about DNA is it has to come back to a match.
Match, yeah,
So you have to have a match. So maybe there's a female violent offender in the system, but I mean that's sort of rare.
Yeah, that very well may not be the case too.
But they have DNA to match to a suspect if they develop it.
That's exactly right.
And that's why that's why I'm saying the things about Mr. Cobb that I'm saying now is that if you're sitting out there in TV land and you know someone who had dealings, a female who had dealings with Mr. Cobb there toward the end, that'd be the perfect time to make some money and and do the right thing.
There are rewards offered, folks.
Right. I mean, his life wasn't a secret. Everybody kind of knew what Mr. Cobb liked, and you can't hurt the man; he's dead. But you can help the family by providing that information.
Well, we want the family to have closure.
Right.
We really do.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's, like I said, you stab someone 40-something times with a screwdriver.
Something tells me in my mind, Linda, that whomever, if a lady was there that night, this wasn't her first rodeo with Jeff Cobb.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, you wouldn't stab somebody 46 times, first time, never knew them before, in my mind.
Right. And you're absolutely right.
Because you're thinking about all these other times or things or
overkill, absolutely.
Yes.
And then the fact that Mr. Cobb's face was covered up with a shower curtain.
Yes.
We talked about that before. I do believe that is a admission of guilt on the person who did this. That is they feel ashamed, they feel bad. So then again, it goes to, like you said, this was not somebody that he picked up for the first time, right? This is somebody, very, very good call on that. This is someone that he's known before.
Right.
So the cat's out of the bag. People can't pretend like we don't know what Mr. Cobb liked to do in his off time.
Right.
So folks need to they need to come out. I mean, it's not easy to sit on TV and say this stuff about somebody.
And it's not. And this was Mr. Cobb's personal. He could do what he wanted to.
Right.
He could have as many women as he wanted to over there. The reason we're bringing this up, this is what could have led to his demise.
Yeah, and I mean, given Mr. Cobb really only did a few things. After he retired, he was a school teacher. He was all these things that he did. He was very active in civil life, but then toward his older age, he went to church.
Right.
And he entertained women. So, of the two things, which one's more likely to get him stabbed 40-something times? So,
absolutely.
Folks, if you know someone, like these people that posted on Facebook, take the time, call this number.
Just wow, I remember all those conversations, but just wow. Okay, so we now know this week. See, this is how Linda liked to put it out, was in bits and pieces, so it kept you intrigued. And so I think that's what we're doing too. But box of condoms found in there, hairbrush on the floor.
See, I didn't know that either.
Now, what happened to, we need to ask that question of the lieutenant when he comes back. How did the DNA come back? Well, he ain't gonna tell us, but we're gonna ask him.
But they've definitely got a profile, a DNA profile. They may not have a match, but they've got a profile in place. They do.
So anyway, a lot of speculation going on in that case, but a lot of women said they went and hid in the back when he come to Gators. And so it sounds like there was a group of girls that worked at Gators that knew him very well, and they worked together, they're friends, and don't you know something? If you know something, $25,000 in cash, I mean,
And
honestly,
for people to go on Facebook and make comments,
yes,
clearly there are people out there who know stuff,
yeah.
who know things.
Well, if you're going to make comments and you know something, why not collect the money?
That's right. Get paid for it. Come forward. You might know just a tidbit of information that could help solve this case.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, well, I'm sure we will bring up some more things as time goes on about Jeff Cobb, and we'll be talking about it with the Rocky Mount Police Department. But I hope you tuned in today. Those of you that said that you missed it last week, I hope you tuned in to see some more of the Jeff Cobb. But don't forget now, if you didn't see it, you can always go back because we have it on YouTube. So, and we do want to thank JP for his sponsorship of this show. JP is going to have the floor next week.
Yeah, what we're going to do, I've got a concealed carry class this Saturday in Bailey. We're going to kind of record it, get some highlights, come out and broadcast and share with the viewers what it's like to sit in a concealed carry class, what to expect, the classroom instruction. We're going to show the range out at Bailey on my family's farm, how it's set up. We're going to show some people qualifying. And look, there's a lot of people who come to me and say, look, I want to take the class, but I've never shot a weapon. I've never shot a gun. I've never held a gun. It's okay. We have people in every class that have never been around firearms.
Right.
And we're going to capture some of that this weekend for you, for the viewers, and kind of put them at ease about coming out and taking a concealed carry class, regardless if it's with me, Sheriff Stone, anybody locally that's teaching it.
Yes, absolutely.
Something I do want to say, if you're going to take the time, the investment to take a concealed carry class, I've got to tell you, just from my personal opinion, please take it from a law enforcement officer.
Oh, absolutely.
Please.
Yes, I agree.
There's several options here in the Nash, Edgecombe, Wilson County area. If you don't want to come to Bailey, that's fine, I understand. Take it from a law enforcement officer so that they can convey to you things that you need to say, things that you don't need to say.
Yes.
What to expect, things like that. You owe it to yourself.
Yeah, you definitely want to watch the show next week. You do not want to miss it. And don't forget Saturday night. Tell them about
Saturday
that.
night, yes, please. The North Carolina State Highway Patrol Caisson Unit fundraiser will be out at Rocky Mount Mills, 6 o'clock. All you can eat oysters, shrimp, barbecue, all the fixings. I believe we're going to have live entertainment from Chandler James, Rocky Mount native. Please come out and support the North Carolina State Highway Patrol Caisson Unit. We need your help.
Yes, and if you want to get tickets, you can still get tickets. It's not too late. So how do they get them?
They can get tickets from me at 919-369-0311, and I've been told you can actually print them offline from the North Carolina State Highway Patrol Caisson Unit has a website. Print them offline. We need your
Okay.
help.
And if you if you don't know the numbers or you didn't write it down or whatever, call me. Call the station. I'll make sure to get in touch with JP and I'll get you some tickets. Don't worry. I'll be happy to get you some tickets. So it's going to be a fun time. I think it's going to really be a fun time. And if you like oysters, I mean, yeah.
All you can eat.
And that's not all they have. They're going to have fish. They're going to have shrimp. They're going to have barbecue. I act like I know what I'm talking about. But anyway.
It's a good time. It
Yes.
really is. It is.
All right. Well, thank you for watching the K-Files, and we'll see you back next week.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.